In this video lesson, I want to introduce to you Andy Smithson. He's with True Parenting. Listen to this advice.
True discipline is about teaching our children. It's not about necessarily changing behavior immediately, but rather teaching them the things that we intend to teach them, the things that they really want to learn and that they need to know in order to be successful and happy. And so I always try to kind of check myself against those three principles. Anytime I interact with my kids, I try to ask myself, okay, is this action that I'm doing, is it portraying and teaching my child what I want them to learn from this incident? Is it building the relationship or is it tearing the relationship down? And does it help me to upgrade and improve myself and continue to maintain my own integrity and my own values and principles and those sorts of things? And I often tell parents that the sign of great parenting isn't the child's behavior. The sign of truly great parenting is the parent's behavior. We don't always have to measure whether or not our discipline was successful by our kids' behavior, but rather by how we dealt with that situation, if we did it in a calm, peaceful sort of way, and if we taught the things that they need to know.
I really like what you said there. Don't measure if the discipline is successful by the kid's behavior, but by yours. Ask yourself, is this action that I'm doing portraying to them what I want them to learn? Is it building the relationship? Is this discipline or punishment maintaining my own values? It's not all about changing behavior immediately. We have to have a long-term view. I had a similar conversation with Dad Drew Pittman on this topic.
One boy, takes the basketball and won't give it back, and the other one pushes him, and so he hits him, how it just spirals out of control. And the same things happen. It happens on the freeway when somebody cuts somebody off, and then he cuts him back off, and then he runs into him, and they get out and they're fighting. Just stuff happens like that in real life. And so if we understand that we are responsible for our behavior, and we're not responsible for how somebody else behaves, and somebody else's behavior, whether it's your brother, whether it's your spouse, whether it's somebody at work, whether it's a perfect stranger, somebody else's behavior does not give us the right to behave poorly. So if somebody does something bad to you, it's not an excuse. It doesn't give you the right to do something bad back to them. And once we understand that concept, I think we'll all be better off.
Remember, if someone acts poorly towards you, that isn't a license to act poorly towards them. I'm not just talking outside the home now, but with our kids in the home. We are responsible for our behavior. We're not responsible for others' behavior. And we're responsible for our kids, yes, but are we really responsible for their behavior? Think about that. Personal responsibility starts with not whining. Every consequence is a result of your actions, words, and thoughts. If you understand this, then you can help your child understand it. Consequences happen because of what we do. As a dad, it's your job to help your child see the connections here.
Not whining is rooted in responsibility. If you realize that everything that you're experiencing, every consequence that you're going through right now is a result of your thoughts, words, and actions, then there's no reason to whine to anyone else. So when my boys were growing up, they realized that whining didn't do any good, that they had caused their situation. And whining about it to me or about it to anybody else or blaming, first of all, it wasn't going to be tolerated. And they realized that it really didn't make any sense because I was always quick to point out when they were whining about something or complaining about something. I would take them through how what they were experiencing was the result of something they had done. So they just started to see it that way. That this happened because of something they said. This happened because of something they did. And that chain of events so people eventually see that their consequences are the result of something they did, cuts down on the whining. If we did that in society, and that's what I've done on my television shows, and that's what I do as I go around talking to Fortune 500 companies when they tell me this is what we're going through right now. I sort of hold up a mirror to them so they see that whatever they're experiencing is the result of their own actions. And that way they understand that what they're going through is their fault, and it doesn't do any good to whine, and nobody wants to hear it anyway. That's the main thing about whining. Nobody wants to hear it. The only worst thing than having a problem is listening to somebody else's problem.
I enjoyed hearing Larry's thoughts on consequences. And I think he makes some good points about cause and effect. We need to be consistent that good begets good and bad begets bad.